Gambo posed this question to the rest of us in his email today. So let's just get right to the nuts and bolts of it. Is it going to come down to Ketel or Torey? One of them's got to go. This town ain't big enough for the both of us, sort of thing.
Okay. There is a Ketel Marte issue. And I know a lot of the fan base doesn't want to admit it, but there is. And, you know, I respect Perdomo for sticking up for Ketel. We had Bob Nightingale on the show earlier, talked about the lack of leadership. That could be why this didn't happen. Well, leadership also starts, you know, at the top with the general manager and the manager, who I have a lot of respect for both of those guys. I think they do a good job. I understand for everybody like, oh, what Lovullo needs to be fired. Totally evaluate at the end of the season. Like, I have no problem with that. I'm not telling you Lovullo has to come back next year. He evaluated, go through everything and make a determination. The question that I'm asking now is if Torey Lovullo, the coddling of Marte, the aiding and abetting, whatever you want to call it, is something that can't be fixed because Torey's not the right guy for it, then do you have it could have come down to, well, the only way to keep Marte is to get rid of Lovullo, or the only way to keep Lovullo is to get rid of Marte because you just can't have, you know, players missing games and not telling the team or the organization. And listen, you can say what you want in the public about Marte, and I think Marte is one of the greatest Diamondbacks of all time. I love him. My kid has his jersey. I don't want him to be traded. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm going to say this right now. I don't want Ketel Marte to be traded. I don't. But I do think somebody's got to crack the whip, and the coddling has to stop. Like, you're going to have to take this a little more seriously. Make no mistake about this. Make no mistake about this. For all the people posting that, oh, he just took a day off. A lot of guys take day off. They didn't know he was taking the day off.
Yeah.
He never told them he was going on vacation. They were expecting him to hop on a plane and come back. So for anybody posting videos and stuff about, oh, it's just a day, and you know what, he was granted the day off. No, he wasn't. No, that nobody in the organization said, okay, take the day off. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
So the question really comes down to, can you come back with both guys? And I don't know the answer to that, but can you come back with both of them?
I mean, I think you can, but that doesn't mean that they will. I think Torey is going to be evaluated on a dozen different things. One of them might be the Ketel Marte situation, but I think it's a multifaceted thing, right? And I think the bigger thing that Torey is going to be evaluated on, and I truly believe this, is hey, have you just been here too long? You know what I mean? Like have you sometimes, and I know this is a real cop-out way of saying it, sometimes things just kind of run their course. Has this run its course with Torey? Has not necessarily that they're tuning him out or that they're not playing hard for him anymore, but sometimes things just end, right? Sometimes they just do. He's been here a long time. He's the franchise record the record holder across the board when it comes to this stuff. I think they can coexist because I also happen to believe that the coddling, if that's the word that we want to use of Ketel Marte, is not just a Torey Lovullo thing. I think that's an organizational thing. When we had Bob Nightingale on the show earlier, you mentioned it a second ago, when Ketel Marte shows up in the clubhouse Saturday after the All-Star break, and there's immediately a meeting with Ketel Marte and the coaches on that Saturday afternoon, there could have been a decision right then and there to suspend him, to punish him, to send some sort of a message. That's not just a Torey decision. That's a Mike decision. You know what I mean? That's not just Torey on some sort of island deciding on his own what he's going to do. There's a lot of, you know this, there's a lot of decisions over there that are made collectively together.
It is.
Right?
It's
like
a collaborative effort.
It's very collaborative effort over there. So I think in our time of absolute need, it's a little disingenuous to say this is just a Torey problem when so often many of the decisions that are over there are made collectively. If they wanted to suspend him on that Saturday night, they should have suspended him. And that's not a Torey thing. That's a them thing. That's a whole organization, top to bottom thing. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I think Torey gets isolated in this a little bit.
I think Torey's argument would be, and I'm not speaking for him, okay, because I don't know this, but just from what we've had him on, what I could gauge by it is, like when we had him on the other day, you don't treat all of your kids the same. Some you treat differently. The feeling is that to get the most out of Marte, I've got to coddle him. I've got to get him through. Now, have you got the most out of him? The guy was an all-star. He's got 47 home runs in his last 162 games. I think he's hitting like 375 and like there's a lot. He's a great player. And, maybe being a hard ass and maybe that would shut him down. Hey, you're suspended. We're going to publicly humiliate you and suspend you. Maybe that shuts him down.
Maybe it does.
Maybe he's a very sensitive guy.
Maybe it alienates some of the guys in the clubhouse who are supporters of Ketel Marte. I don't know.
I just don't know the answer to it. But whatever they've done, they have gotten a lot out of Marte as far as his performance. Mm-hmm. And if they feel like, hey, this is how we have to do it. Now, the problem with that isn't just the dynamics of what you're getting out of Marte and how you treat him. Is it having a negative influence on the other guys? Hey, I'm doing this to get the most out of Ketel. Okay, but what about the other guys? Is it having a negative influence on those players?
Players who maybe off the records were the ones who said things to Nick Piecoro and others about not liking how Ketel, maybe, perhaps.
And obviously that's not going to be Perdomo and
Lourdes Gurriel, who posted support of Ketel Marte on his social channels over the weekend.
Players. It's not going to be the Latin players, I don't believe. I mean, they're a very close-knit group of players, and we don't know who spoke out, what players spoke out. But we do know that players spoke out about the negative impact that Ketel has.
I know this, all right? If it's an either-or situation, all right? I know this. Making a change at manager is going to be a lot easier than making a trade of Ketel Marte and getting proper value for him. I mean, you'll get a good deal for him, but will you get the kind of deal that allows you to feel like you can keep this thing rolling? I don't know. There's no guarantee of that. I think it is, if you're just talking about the ease of the percentage that you're going to get it right, it's a higher percentage you're going to get it right if you make a move with the manager than it is if you trade Ketel Marte. You could get that very wrong. You could make a bad deal. You could make the wrong deal. You could get the wrong guys. Ketel could flourish somewhere else. You could make a bad deal. I think there's a better chance you get an upgrade at manager and don't get burned with that transaction than you do by making a move with Ketel Marte.
We all know this. Torey got dealt a really bad hand this year.
Yes, he did.
Okay, he got dealt a really bad hand. He had a team that was really good. 2 years ago, they were in the World Series. Last year, they tied for the final playoff spot. They even had a better record last year than the year they went to the World Series. This year, everything went to hell in a handbasket. It was a bad year, devastated by injuries, but Torey hasn't done a good job this year. Now, you could, the base running, the third base coach, the defense, the bullpen issues, I can't sit here and say that Torey's done a great job this year, so I'm not going to. I'm not going to say that. But Torey cares. Everybody thinks he does care. He is a good manager. If he got fired, some other team would hire him. But, you do have to evaluate at the end of the season what went wrong and who's to blame for what went wrong.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.